Hello, it is me, the rock and roll mystic. Yes, I know it's been a bit, but I don't have a schedule. And this video is something that I have been thinking about over and over and over again. And it's kind of paralyzed me in a lot because I want to make sure I say things the way I want to say things and I'm not coming across in any way that someone would think would be ill will towards them. But first, before we get to it, I hope my sound is okay. I am using one of my USB mics instead of the headphones. So I'm hoping that all coming through and that you can hear me fine. So let me know below if you want. So this topic, I know I've teased it in a lot of my last few videos, and it's about, you know, activism and advocacy. And in all circles that I frequent in, social circles, religious circles, the YouTube space, Facebook, Instagram, just out and about, I have heard so many different opinions, which is fine. Opinions are important. But there's been a lot of people that I have heard or seen or read that are wondering why more people are not as concerned with things as they are. And I'm saying that I guess in the nicest way I can, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm calling any one person out, because I'm not. This is an overall, I guess, opinion that I have and what I've seen and what I've experienced. And I want to, I don't know, I guess talk about the other side that you might not see, or we might not see, instead of assuming that people are not being active in important causes. Now, if you're new to my channel, I don't edit. I just sit and talk and hope that the words come out. So you'll hear a lot of ums, you'll hear me try to get my thoughts together. Just like that. So, but I don't edit. I am a talking head. I just sit and talk. And this, I guess, wave of people questioning other people's motives because they don't see something online. I've seen it in the spiritual space, where how can people who are so spiritual not talk about Gaza? How are people not talking about this, not talking about that? Ukraine, Russia, Sudan, Darfur, Yemen, China, slavery, the crap show that is my government in the States. And there's been a lot of people that have been questioning other people. And my intention with this video, and I hope that my guides help me formulate my words and get them out and be able to say them properly. But my intention with this video is to talk about the silent side, or the unseen side, of activism. There are many things, like I rattled off a whole bunch, that are going on in this world right now. And there's an awful lot of horrors and atrocities and just outright disgusting behavior by many different people and many different governments. And, you can like put it all in a hat, pick and choose, and you can find something to be upset about. I have a hard time myself because of being an empath and seeing things. I have a very high BS meter, so I can see through propaganda, I can see through the lies, I can see through the omission, the lies of omission that people aren't saying. And it's frustrating because I don't trust the news. I'm sure a lot of us out there, we don't trust mainstream news anymore. It's all colored the way whoever is speaking wants you to hear it. And so I wanted to come with facts, numbers, and stuff like that, but I'm like, as I was sitting there over the last 3 weeks trying to come up with my thoughts for this video, I came to the conclusion that numbers don't matter. They really don't, because if we really dive into the numbers and the statistics, it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking, and it's devastating to think of the atrocities and to see how awful people are being to other people. And my thoughts, as I mentioned in other videos, I am very active in learning about socioeconomic issues and politically motivated issues. I have looked into all of the situations that are going on and tried to formulate where I stand. And sometimes it's not black and white. And I know that might trigger some people out there, especially like in Gaza. You're either pro-Israel or you're pro-Palestine. And I'm sorry, but I can't get on either boat because I don't trust the numbers that are coming out. I don't trust Hamas. I don't trust the government in Israel. My heart is with the Palestinian people and the Israeli people. I cannot put my hat in one corner of the other because I don't trust the numbers. I know that both sides are being awful to each other, and I can't do anything about that. And I am not going to choose one side or the other. So that's just one example of what I have been very pro-Ukraine since Russia invaded Ukraine. I have been actively learning and seeing the numbers, and it's horrible. It's horrible. The same things that everybody's upset about about what's going on between Gaza or between Palestine and Israel is happening 20 times over in Russia, or not in Ukraine. What the Russian army has done to the Ukrainian people breaks my heart. I don't want to go into details because I don't want this to get flagged, but if you can think of the worst happening to women and children and men and elderly, it's almost worse what the Russian people have done, a Russian army has done to Ukrainian people. I've been on that camp. I chose that camp. And I try to be at least send my thoughts and my intentions and what I can do in regards to Sudan. Now, nobody talks about Sudan. There have been many days, in one single day, 15,000 people have been killed by the horrible, evil people that are, believe it or not, funded by Russia. Hamas, funded by Russia and Iran. It's upsetting. it's frustrating, and you can see I'm getting a little agitated. And this is one of the reasons why I don't get extremely proactive as far as a lot of these things. I stay informed, but I physically, mentally, and emotionally can't handle a lot of the things that are happening. And at the same time, my country, a lot of you guys are in this country, but a lot of you guys are outside the country, and you're not getting the full picture because of propaganda and the way some of the media is portraying what's happening in my country. In the US, it is chaos. And if perchance democracy does not win, then the American experiment is done. It's over. And that means what's going to happen. And I'm doing my best where I can to help educate people and educate myself to understand. But if perchance democracy fails in my country, say goodbye to Palestine and say goodbye to Ukraine and every other country that used to be in the Soviet Union is going to have Russia on their doorstep. And I know that sounds really, really, really maybe arrogant. I don't know. But right now, whether you like him or not, my president is doing what he can to be on both sides, to try to help everybody. He is pissing off Netanyahu because he's giving a lot of aid to Gaza. So, but that doesn't get talked about. They're building a pier so they can give humanitarian aid to the Palestinians, despite what Netanyahu wants. Here, I'm getting aggravated again. So, this is why I don't get into this. This is why I've been afraid of this video. But if perchance my current president loses, you don't want to know what's going to happen. You just don't. And we already are getting, at least women in my country already have less rights than a cow. We don't have reproductive rights in half of our country right now. We don't have health care that is going to save our lives in half of the states in our country. And if the president that we have right now does not get reelected and the alternative gets in, we have none. Absolutely none. So basically the reason why I'm saying all of this and giving you where I stand is because I want to let everybody know that what you see is not always what is happening. There are many ways that people show advocacy and activism. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be aggressive. Not even, I don't want to say aggressive because it's not really aggressive, but bold. Like we don't, some people like myself, I can't go and be in a crowd. I can't. I don't care what it is. I can't be in a crowd. I cannot go and march, even for my own human rights. I can't do that. That is just not what my brain, my everything is about. Whether it's my ADHD, whether it's my being an empath, I don't know what it is, but I can't be in crowds. So I will never, ever do a march for any cause. But that doesn't mean I don't care. And there are many people out there just like me who can't do that, whether it's because they don't have transportation, whether they can't take off of work, whether they're afraid to be in crowds, whether they're not sure where they stand and they're afraid of conflict in any way, interpersonal. They may do other things, like they might be somewhere in an office wherever they live, helping people get the vote out, or helping to educate, or running websites or something, where they're in the back end of things, doing just as much advocacy work as those that are marching on Washington, D.C., or marching in London, or marching in any major city, protesting against what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in, well, there are no marches, but people getting upset about what's happening in Sudan. That's kind of like the forgotten thing, I guess. I don't know, because it's in Africa, nobody cares about it. We didn't care about, Rwanda, but what I want, hopefully this is coming across. I don't know if my words are getting through. I don't mean to make anybody feel less than, or that I'm attacking, or any. I'm not. I'm totally not. Because if you have the capability of marching and protesting, do it. Do it. Do it. Do it till your heart's content, because I can't do that. And I want people to, be active and be able to stand for their rights to protest, peacefully protest. I don't want this to come off like I'm pointing anybody out, because I'm not. This is just what I've been seeing in lots of different spaces, on many different social media sites. This, why are they not doing this? Why are these spiritual people not standing up? Why are they silent on Ukraine? Why are they silent on Gaza? Why are they silent here? Why are they silent here? You have one side is like, why is it, why aren't people, more pro-Israel? Why aren't people, well, I don't know, people are going to outwardly say, why aren't they more pro-Russia? But, I just wanted to come to you guys to talk to you about the silent and unseen side of activism. And there are many people in the witchy space, in the spiritual space, in all of your spaces, that just because you are highly active and you are going to marches and you're protesting, doesn't mean that your neighbor is not. And I don't know why I was, I guess, pushed to talk about this, because I obviously don't really know how to come across properly. At least I don't think I am. But hell, if you understand what I'm saying, please pop it in the comments, because I don't want this to be, I don't know. I just want people to know that there are many, many, many different sides of activism, and it may just be a passive one. It might just be staying informed. It might just be sitting behind a desk working on an advocacy website. It may just be sitting in a pew in the church and praying for Gaza. I mean, I know that doesn't seem like a lot. And it could be somebody who's quietly in the broom closet doing spells to bring peace to these areas. Just because it's not out in the open, and just because it's not seen, doesn't mean it's not happening. And, at first, when I started seeing people in the spiritual space and in the witchy space on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, wherever, whatever social media, you pick a social media platform, it's been there. I started feeling guilty, like I wasn't doing enough. And luckily that only lasted a little bit. And then I'm like, wait a minute. No, I'm educating myself. I am doing my part to help people get out and vote. I am doing my part to stay informed, to keep up with all of the actual statistics and not the propaganda that is infiltrated every single country on this planet. The Russian and Chinese propaganda is just so rampant. And, I have my radio show in the UK, and I have to tell you, I'm a little frustrated that even in UK, it's supposed to be our ally, and I believe they are, but they're being run by basically what we would consider the right here in the States. And they are portraying my president as somebody who is doddering, who is old, who is senile. They are picking different things about him and playing it up like he's not fit. And they're not showing his speeches. They're not showing the love he has for this country. They're not showing the passion that he has for all humanity, and he wants to do the right thing. Is he perfect? No. There is no perfect person on this planet, but is he better than the alternative? Hell yeah. So that's kind of where my advocacy has been, and I don't know. I'm just going to keep rambling. I may just close this video soon, but I just want to let everybody know that we're out here. We may not be marching in the streets. We may not be, posting on social media things that would be, I guess, prime pickings for somebody or a bot to come in and start a fight with. I don't do that. I don't do conflict. I don't do conflict at all. I'm not going to post something on social media and have 100 people agree with me, and then those 5 people that wish death on me. I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. And there's many of us out there that are the same way. We just can't deal with conflict, person to person, one-on-one conflict. We just can't deal with that. And social media, especially, is not a safe place. And if you have a hard time, being confrontational, it's a war zone. And there's many of us that don't want to do that. So again, I'm rambling again because I've been triggered. Gosh, it's been a roller coaster, this video. I hope I'm saying, I'm getting across what my thoughts. But I always fall back on my one quote, and I've said it in a couple of videos, and I just want to give this out as advice to anybody out there who is like me, who feels less than because they're not walking the streets protesting about anything, because they just can't mentally, emotionally. I just want to give you my favorite quote as, I guess, a piece of hope, a permission to be who you are and not worry about it. Because as long as you, and here's a quote, do what you can with what you have from where you are. That is the most important piece of advice that I've given to clients in the past. I give it to my friends, and I say it to myself. It is my absolute favorite quote. It is if I get stuck in a ADHD paralyzation, then I can hopefully get myself out of it. That's what I tell myself. Do what you can with what you have from where you are. If you can't go and be a part of a massive protest in your city, you don't have to. Do what you can with what you have from where you are. If it's just educating yourself so you know what's really going on, then I consider that an act of activism. If it is helping on a newsletter or being active in your church or community or wherever, whatever you do that. And if you can't do any of it and you're too afraid because you don't really know what that's okay too. And I just want to give you permission to be who you are. If you are an activist, if you are out there and you are protesting and you are standing up for so many people, good on you. Keep doing it because we need you. But if you're like me and you can't do that, that's okay too. We need you too. So, so that's kind of my my message. I did, before I came on, I did pull a card and I'm like, is there anything I need to think about or whatever? And so I used my I don't know where's my book, where is it? Oh, my Sacred Earth Oracle, which this is a beautiful deck. If you don't have it, I mean, I'm sure many of you already have it, but so I pulled a card and I got context. And I wasn't sure what that meant. And you can see context. I wasn't sure what that meant. And so until I started reading what was in the book. And this one part really stood out to me. So maybe this is what I personally needed to hear. So I'm just going to read it to you guys, and if it resonates with you, then it was for you guys. So it was part of the spiritual meaning in the book, and it's just the first half of the paragraph. And it says, there is no need to discriminate, separate, or label things as good or bad. We are one spirit, one life, one breath, living one eternal moment. Dividing life into categories brings suffering and creates imbalance. And the words that really stood out to me is, number one, imbalance. That word popped out big time. And then it was the part, there is no need to discriminate, separate, or label things as good or bad. And I mean, we all know, obviously, I'm not talking about the actual atrocities that are happening. They are bad. They are evil. They're being done by evil people. But we shouldn't label what we see people doing as good or bad, because you may not know what they're doing just because you don't see them saying anything on social media, just because you don't see them at the local protest, just because you don't see them speaking out on a video about how they feel, does not mean they're not feeling it. And we shouldn't label somebody less than for not wanting to protest. We shouldn't label anybody, like I said, good or bad. We should not discriminate about that. Yes, there are fake people out there who say something but then don't do anything. But that is such a small percentage. I think, my personal opinion, I think it's such a small percentage of people who say one thing and do the other. The fakes are such a small percentage of our communities. And we shouldn't let the fakes sour your view on the other majority. They do what they can with what they have from where they are. And it's going to look different to everyone. And so I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully my mic was okay. I know my voice is kind of dry. I'm still kind of struggling a little bit from being sick. I know it's like 3 weeks or actually like a month ago, I was sick, and I'm still having residual stuff, but I'm gonna have to, you know, do some workings or something because I'm over it. I am over it. Um, but yeah, that's my video for today. I hope it makes sense. I hope it was thought provoking. I hope I didn't insult anybody. I hope I didn't make anybody feel less than, because I don't want you to feel less than. I want you to do what you feel in your heart that you need to do. But just know that perceptions are never true. What you see is not always what you get. And there are many of us out here who are just as much of an activist as you are, or as the next person. We just do it differently. And yeah, so I'm going to leave it with that. And, you know, I pray for everybody. I pray for the world. I pray for peace. I, I, I pray that these atrocities stop. But I also know that Pluto just entered Aquarius, which is a humanitarian planet. Capricorn was a very masculine tech kind of banking business, all that stuff. And right now people are white knuckling. The old ways are losing their grip and they're afraid. And we have to understand, as much as it seems ridiculous, that they want to hurt people, and that's all they know. Or they just want to control, and having no control scares them. And so they're white knuckling, and they are gonna push and push and push and push and push back every time they can. But I promise you, they will lose their grip completely, and there will be change and transformation on this planet. I know it in my gut. I know it in my soul. I know it down to the center of my cells. This is the last. Maybe it might take a year, maybe 2 years for all of this to kind of work itself out, but we are entering into a couple decades of humanitarian stuff and that humanitarian energy. And don't let these horrible people who are trying to create what they want to trigger you. Make sure you stay on your axis. Just do what you can, again, with what you have from where you are. Pay attention to how you are walking through the world and what makes you feel like you are important to yourself, not to anybody else. And just hang on. It'll all be over eventually. This is temporary. These wars will end. Hamas will be destroyed. The Russians will finally pull out because they'll have no more men to send into war. It's going to end. These aren't going to be going on and on and on and on forever. So just hang on tight, keep the faith, keep hope, and just live your life from your heart center. And you'll be fine. You'll be fine. The world will be fine. It's going to be scary. I'm petrified here in my country. This is my election year, and this is going to be something that in my nearly 54 years of life, I've never seen something like this before, and I hope I never get to see it again. But it's going to be scary. Everything's going to be scary. So just hang on tight and do what you can with what you have from where you are. And I think we're all going to be okay. But we need to be kinder to people. Excuse me, I'm losing, my throat's getting dry. We need to be kinder to people, and we need to not jump the gun and think we know what we're seeing, when in fact our perceptions can be skewed. by our own experience. So again, I'm rambling, rambling. You always want to like leave these videos with like a nice little saying at the end, but that's just not how my brain works. So again, I wish you all many blessings, and I love you all, and I hope and pray for the best outcome for everyone. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that. So be kind to yourself, be kind to other people, live and walk in love and light. And I will see you in the next video. And I think it's going to be a funny one. It may be next week, maybe in 2 weeks. I don't know, but it's gonna come. I need to do it because it makes me chuckle. So I'm gonna do it. So have a good one, everyone. Bye.